There was a moment where I'm watching it right now. I'm watching the Circle of Life scene, and it's gorgeous, right? Like, there's parts where I'm like tearing up. I'm like, this is visually like like to know that Walt Disney like started with like a pencil and paper pen and whatever. So I'm watching it, and then I'm just starting to think about like, oh, how much work the animators had to do, and like how much money went into this, and I'm like, isn't it kind of silly that we as humans like invested so much into what is essentially a lion baby shower?
Well, one of my favorite bits about that was like, can you imagine having to wake up in the morning to go to your boss's your boss's baby reveal?
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine that?
Like the gender reveal party, like the fact that like if aliens came down, they were like, why are you doing that to these cats that live over there? Like they don't do this. It's so weird.
It is really funny.
Anyways,
my whole thing is that we spent millions of dollars to see a movie that we've already seen before with the graphics updated, and Flint still doesn't have water. You know,
well, when you put it like that,
it's just like, did you guys not know how to prioritize? It was really important for us to see the updated animated features.
Okay, as far as Flint, Jaden's working all day.
When the spawn meets world, when the spawn meets world.
What up, bro?
What up, bro?
And welcome to Bruh Meets World.
When it's Bruh Meets World,
your Boy Meets World fan cast. Welcome to episode 48. I'm Siege.
And I'm TC.
How's it going, bruh?
You know what, bro? It's going pretty good.
Pretty well.
I have to say, I enjoyed this episode quite a bit.
I actually did. This episode, like, I'm actually really excited to get into this episode because it brings up a lot of themes and things that I'm like, you know what? This is, again, I kind of wish we had started with this episode.
Yeah. Well, what I was thinking was that when we were talking about episode 301 last week, we were talking like, oh, they're kind of like seeds are being spread. And I feel like we're now kind of zooming in to these issues of Shawn and Turner and kind of seeing a little bit more depth to these things that we were hoping we'd see more of last week. So I'm excited to talk about it.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's just get right into the Tell Me About It.
Tell me about it. Tell me all about the show.
This is season 3, episode 2, The Double Lie. Shawn stays with Corey's family after Jonathan tells him he'll be out of town for the weekend, despite the fact that Shawn has a hot date. In a B storyline, Eric owes Feeney a paper. Yep, so first off,
I'm sorry, I got so caught up with the Eric and Feeney thing because the moment this episode started and I found out that Feeney's waiting for a paper that's due last year, I'm like, I don't think that's how grades work.
Yes! Okay, so like, we can, like, if you want to, let's just dive right into that. Yeah. Which is like, mostly because it doesn't take up as much as the rest of the episode.
And I don't think we have any new cast.
Actually, we do.
Oh, and Veronica Watson.
Yeah, in our roll call, there is the Veronica Watson, the hot girl about town who apparently everyone is just dying. Like, half of the school does everything they can to get it with this girl.
Of course, because her parents don't care where she is at 10 at night.
But you know what? That's a really good point. And she leaves very often. She goes straight to Turner's.
She goes home twice and comes back out for Dick. Oh my god. All right.
But Veronica Watson is played by Erin J. Dean of The Journey of Alan Strange.
That's where I remember her from. Wow.
I know. Okay. I knew you would be like that. I was like, The Journey of Alan Strange, which, by the way, was one of the ones that I was obsessed with.
Of course.
And black actor, main lead. I mean, like, do we not? I mean, of course, he was an alien, and we didn't really talk about that. But still.
Oh, that's it. We should go back and watch that show after this. The one thing I remember about this Alan Strange was that he had this ability where he could hold his hand over a book and absorb all the knowledge of the book, and I thought that was really badass.
That is. I mean, like, reading would be done like instantly.
Yeah.
So that's our only real roll call. But outside of that, this episode. Let's talk about Eric, as we just said.
Yeah. So Eric is owing Feeney a paper that was due at the end of last year.
Feeney gives him a reminder, which he does not have to do, saying, Eric, if you do not give me this paper, your incomplete, which I gave you, which I'm assuming Feeney only gave Eric, will turn into an F. So you've had months to work on this paper. You were given a reminder and an extension,
Did
basically.
you not have time over the summer? And also, Feeney, you live next door. Maybe not wait until the school starts to give him a reminder about
Well, no,
this.
what I'm assuming, especially by this point, is that he has reminded Eric quite a few times.
Yeah.
And he is being so lenient. So in this particular storyline, usually with Feeney, we're like, oh, you could have done this or blah, blah, blah. I'm like, Feeney has every right to just fail you.
Yeah.
No, like, you have been given a chance to turn your incomplete to an F in the next school year. Feeney is going back and changing records.
I'm curious. Didn't Eric not go to Europe so that he can go to summer school? So, all right.
This is my point. Eric is...
He saw Feeney every day.
It makes no sense, honestly.
Right.
I mean, not that Eric's not supposed to make sense, and even the way it kind of wraps up, because later on I wrote notes that at the end when Corey's kind of screwed him over, which by the way I want to talk about that, but at the end when Corey's kind of screwed him over and Feeney's like, oh, this is about whatever Abraham Lincoln, he's like, I paid for this paper. It's like, okay, so first of all, shut yourself in the mouth. Like, why would you say that at all?
Yeah.
At any point in time.
Real quick, what Siege is referring to is that the paper that Eric had all summer to do, he still didn't do it. He paid someone to do it. He ordered it, and it ended up being confused with an old paper of Shawn's.
No. Corey switches it out. Corey switches it out at the very last minute. But I'm like, Eric, you were reading the paper. We saw there's a scene where you come into the kitchen reading the paper. Yeah. You know that this is you know what paper you turned in. You know for a fact.
The only thing I can think of is if Corey did it that morning, exchanges
which he
bag.
could have done. I can totally see him doing that. But what I'm saying is, for Eric to be like, nuh-uh. It's just like...
Well, Eric shouldn't have said, I paid for that paper. He could have just said, my brother's a dick. I'll have the paper to you by the end of tonight.
No, I don't know what copy I printed.
Yeah. Come up with something on your feet.
You know what?
This is because white guys have not had to come up with excuses for shit because they keep getting second and third and fifth chances.
That's has to be what it is, because I cannot tell you how often you're like, did you even put in the slightest effort in your lie?
Yeah.
A quick Google search nowadays will completely make it null and void.
Eric was allowed to, or was able to, purchase this paper with a credit card that he got, laughing like I have the money. You're the reason why I won't have a
yeah, absolutely.
So we won't have Social Security because of you.
Most people our age are just taught to get credit cards without any finance education.
Sure.
So I think that is something that I would love to just that we start teaching in schools.
I still don't think they're teaching credit cards or savings or really stocks or investing. I don't think any of that's taught. Not in Florida. Not in the public schools I went to.
No, actually, they're not. I know that a lot of schools. My sister's a teacher, and a lot of schools are petitioning to have
basic life.
Yeah, life skills. I guess is what they're calling it. Added to the curriculum, because you need to know that, hey, getting a credit card does not mean that's free money. You got to pay that stuff back.
I learned how banks work as I went.
Yeah, that's pretty much how most of the people I know. Yeah. I remember when I signed up for my first credit card, which I will say I still have, but my first credit card freshman year is again, during one of those freshman orientation fairs.
Yeah.
And I just got it, and it was really fortunate for me that I used it correctly, but there were other credit cards that I did not, because I was like, oh yeah, you're just getting these things.
Well, I have a Target card from when I was 17 that I don't know what the status of it is. It's no longer on my record, so I'm assuming it went away.
I don't think that's how that works. We should really come back to that. Okay, and then also, the thing with Eric's storyline that I thought was really funny is when Feeney comes over with the envelope, and I was like, oh, just the luck of having the thing that you are cheating mailed to your teacher accidentally. I literally thought he got caught, and then the fact that he wasn't, it was like, oh, cool. So, which is why when we saw him reading the paper later, I was like, well, at least he's reading it.
He's just kind of leaning into his own arrogance. It really is just him shooting himself in the foot over and over again.
Right.
Is anything else about Eric before we move on to the Shawn storyline?
No, I think I just wanted to hit on that because it's supposed to be the trope of Eric being stupid, but in reality, again, the other thing we want to hit up on this, Corey. in Corey doing that.
Well, yeah. So
this is Eric's grades.
yeah,
This is not a childish prank. This is like, don't get me wrong, Eric deserves some kind of like messing with, but like change the font. Like, you know,
do
like
something. Yeah.
do something. Leave the stick. Like, I don't know. Like, just do something
to his hair.
Yeah.
Do something to him that's going to affect him with girls. Don't do something that's going to keep him living in that room with you even longer.
Have
Corey.
your parents catch him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that I can deal with. You had Eric turned in a paper and apparently got away with it, or would have gotten away with it, and you messed with his grades as his brother. That is his, literally, that F, because I'm assuming Feeney just gave him the F.
But, in all fairness, he deserved that damn F.
I'm not saying that he didn't deserve that F. What I'm saying is you don't mess with someone's grades. It's like, again, I forgot what I was looking at something. It was like, you don't mess with someone's money. You know what I mean? It's like you just don't mess with someone's livelihood.
I do wonder, like, because Feeney seems familiar with tests or essays by Gerard or whatever it is. I wonder if he would have got the report and had.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Let Eric get caught on his own.
Yeah.
Just, you don't do it. Corey messing with Eric's grades. Really is not. That's a no-go for me. That's the only thing.
No. I don't have siblings, but I do agree that's...
Yeah, I mean, all right. Imagine you and Tyler have been really close for a year. Imagine Tyler and you pull pranks on each other. Imagine if Tyler pulled a prank on you by ratting you out that you cheated.
Yeah. Or that, like, told my boss that I was cutting work or something like that. Something that's going to affect my livelihood.
That's my one thing. It's like, it doesn't really matter if it stays within the circle and the damage that you're doing has no, like, lasting effects. Yeah. But it stops being a joke when it's, like, permanent record type shit.
Wonder, is this a cultural thing? Because because I feel like as people of color, we have learned that we need to we need to protect our tribe, we need to protect our own, and that authority and that whatever, like if a cop comes up and you guys were fighting, you're like, oh no, there was no problem, officer, you keep going, like that kind of thing. We're taught to do culturally, and I wonder because they don't have that. If that's, I mean, I'm probably overthinking. I mean, I don't know. I know that I could be like fighting someone I hate. Yeah. And like me and my cousin drag out fight, right? Yeah. Like just brutal fight. And if a cop were to come up, I would say we were just playing. Yeah. Well, like we're just playing. Or, again, honestly, it's just that for me, it's like what everyone used to call kid code. Yeah. You remember it's like code, totally. When you were like fighting and playing around or whatever, and the moment an adult comes in, everyone's just like, nah, man, it wasn't that serious. Yeah. Like I remember I'm trying to sleep. I told y'all to be quiet in there. We were talking. Yeah, exactly. And you just cover for them because that's it. I don't know. Yeah. It just seemed way out of line. Okay, now let's get to the really big story, which is Shawn and Turner. Which, all right. By the way, Anthony Tyler Quinn, who plays Turner, this is noted to be his favorite episode. Was it not the one where he died from the motorcycle accident? Funny enough, that's not his. By the way, spoiler alert, if you did not watch the series yet. Well, spoiler, I don't think he dies. I think he comes back in Girl Meets World. Yeah, he does come back in Girl Meets World. Yeah, he just disappeared. Anyways. All right. Shawn is fucking. Is he not? So I think, wait, here's the thing. I will say that it doesn't seem like Shawn is, because at no point in time, I'm just saying, at no point in time is it made to seem like he's run out of cold water. He's relaxing his lips. He's not fucking yet. He's just doing a lot of heavy petting. Every single time we run into him, there's no like indication that Shawn is having sex with this girl, but he is definitely, and I think the implication is every time we catch Shawn, it's just like, this is what it could lead to. You don't bring a 15-year-old girl back to your place. Well, okay, and here's kind of the reason why I was confused as to what Shawn's end game was with her, because obviously all the guys are after this girl, and, you know, he's like, oh, I get your parents out of the house, I want to have her alone. Wouldn't it have been easier just to go to a movie if you were going to make out? Like, wouldn't it have been easier to just do anything else? Like, to be at home, to want to home alone, like, suggests that there are things happening that you would not want to do in the back of a movie theater. See, I don't know, because I remember in, like, high school, like, you just want to, you want to spend, like, unsupervised time. Like, there are other people around, but you're not necessarily fucking, you're just...
You just wanna
I don't know.
be able to
Shawn
explore.
makes out with this girl for hours, right?
Yes.
And then he's like, the date's over, and he's telling Corey, he's like, I'm just so fucking horny, bro. Like,
Yeah.
I need to just. And Corey's like, calm down, take a cold shower. You're out of cold water. Like, I'm just hard.
Yeah, but again, I feel like per this time and just per this age, at that point in time, they're not necessarily fucking. They're just literally, he's horny all the time. And at this point in time, he thinks the quickest solution to resolving this horniness is to just make out with it and have her rub on it a little bit.
I don't know how much we can really blame Shawn for this, because he has aged 4 years in the last 2 seasons since Turner correctly identified him as a 15-year-old boy in this episode. Started as 11 in season 1. What's happening?
But also, I want to say that we bring up a few interesting dynamics with Shawn, because one of the things that I realized is Shawn being like, hey, when adults speak, my ears just start buzzing over.
I hear that buzzing sound.
Yeah. And I was like, actually, that makes sense. Think about Shawn's family life. Most likely he heard a lot of yelling. Most likely a lot of people usually yell at Shawn. So for Shawn, if you're an adult and you're talking to him, he just tunes it out, because that's probably what he had to do for like a long time. And then you have the fact that what happened later on in the episode when
Turner lies to him.
Well, I didn't want to get to that just yet,
Sure,
because
yeah.
like the Turner lying to him and not understanding what that does to someone like Shawn is just like even better. But basically, there's something about like making out with girls or like being home alone and stuff like this. I just think Shawn has a different understanding about what's appropriate and boundaries.
Turner says, you brought a girl back to the apartment alone. What were you thinking? And Shawn says, look at her. You saw her. There's nothing to think about.
Exactly. But remember, think about Chet. Let's take a moment and think about Chet. Do you think Chet at any point in time discouraged Shawn from having girls around?
I don't think so. I'm saying that the line, look at her, there's not much to think about, is problematic.
Oh, no, it is. Oh, this whole thing, the idea that these two boys are watching, they're literally predatorily watching her break up with someone, rooting it on. Mm-hmm. And then when it happens, he swoops in. She's like, I need a morning period. Can't do Friday. He goes, how about Saturday? Yep, he's on it. And then immediately, by the way, it's all an idea to him, because he's like, oh man, I would love to be there when that happens. You will be there. You're going on the date. Yeah. This is what I'm saying. Like, for him, it's all ethereal. Shawn's just more so, I feel like this is bragging, right? Again, Shawn's reputation is being a ladies' man. He sees, again, knowing Chet, he sees being a man as being a ladies' man. And
do you think his constant wooing of women is his way of replacing
his mother,
his mother, or just affection that he's not getting anywhere else?
Absolutely. I do think this is what I'm saying. I feel like for Shawn, the goal is to keep up this ladies' man persona, because that's the one thing he's good at. And it's also to have these girls around and tell him that he's good at something. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And I think it's just a distraction, too.
Absolutely.
Because, honestly, what I thought of when Turner was like, hey, you're 15 years old, is my question is like, you know what? There's so much difference between what we saw last season and this season. Maybe it's been a long time that Shawn's been with Turner. Because Corey's like, oh yeah, me and Topanga, we have blockbuster nights all the time. You just started dating last episode. So it really makes me think about like maybe we're not meant to think of this as a chronological, like 1 year after the other. Maybe Shawn's parents have actually been away for quite some time now.
Here's the thing, I will say, no matter if his parents has been gone, first of all, we're in the middle of the school year. They left before the end of last school year. Yeah. So we know, bare minimum, it's been 4 months.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, the last episode was the first day of school. Remember? Because
I meant like the last episode in Home.
Oh, yeah.
Is like they're ending the school year.
Yeah.
Remember? Yeah. Because of Eric. We know that was around the end of the school year last year. So, bare minimum, it's been all of summer, because it's now the first day of school. It's been at least 3 months.
Yeah.
At least. And they've been gone. And at that age, at 16... 3 months of living with someone who's not your parents, and none of your blood relatives, that's a long ass time. This isn't 2 weeks. This has been months of living with other people. And I feel like We know Turner is a ladies' man. We see it all the time. I feel like Shawn just is always being like, this is my version of being successful. I'm not a smart dude.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna follow in the steps of Corey, but you know what I can do? I'm a good kisser. Ladies love me. I'm gonna get this holy grail of a female, which again, problematic, but that's his goal.
Sure. Just jumping off with something you said there, you were like, he acknowledges that he, like, this is his strength and that he's not really head smart or whatever. There's a line that Shawn says where he sounds exactly like Joey Tribbiani. So much so that I was like, wow, are they trying to recreate Joey's persona through Shawn? Because the two of them are very similar in the fact that we're ladies' men who are really dim-witted.
Yeah.
And Shawn says to Turner, he's like, does that tuxedo, does it come in tuxedo? And for whatever reason, that sounded like such a Friends line that I couldn't help but to see the similarities between
Friends
these two
has been
characters.
out by this point in time, but I think it's more so they're just sitcom tropes.
Well, the cast has even said that the popularity of Friends directly influenced the show, which is why we had older cast members come in, which is why, like, especially once the romantic stuff started happening, like, they really tried to push to have more of the Friends vibe because it was such a popular show.
I mean, yeah, and to go back with it, this episode we get more of the family, but the intro reminds us that right now, Boy Meets World is Boys Meet World.
Yeah.
We're talking about Eric, we're talking about Shawn, we're talking about Corey. Also, again, we are getting to this place where Corey kind of takes the back seat.
Yeah.
To really let Shawn's character shine, and I really like that. I kind of feel like any other, like, if this had been season 1 or 2, we'd hear about the consequences of Corey lying to Shawn.
Yeah.
But now it's like, no, this is a Shawn-centric
I
episode.
really liked that Corey not only wasn't really involved with Shawn's predicament, he wasn't trying to save him either.
Yeah.
And like in the previous seasons, like anytime Corey was involved in helping Shawn, he's trying to like steer him the right direction, as if Corey's this great moral barometer in the series, which he is not at all.
And we
like,
see
he
when
should
he does
left
to Eric.
him right.
Yeah.
So like I'm really just grateful that they don't have him just kind of trying to coach Shawn into something that he knows nothing about. Because every time Corey's trying to make Shawn feel better about not having a family, Corey, you have no idea what that feels
Well,
like.
two things that are really important about that. One, I do like how Corey was like, for once, I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
he's like, I can say with a straight face, I do not know where he is.
Yeah.
So there's that. And then also, let's talk about Corey's plan with his parents. Because canceling the reservation was stupid. You pushed the reservation. Like, if you want them to be out,
Yes.
change it from an 8:30 to a 9:30. Hey, we have your reservation. It's at 9:30. Oh, we'll wait. Why? Because adults will wait for a reservation.
Yeah.
They'll have an argument about whether or not, I could have sworn I was for 8:30. No, he says it's for 9, yada, yada, yada. That's what you would do at that
Yeah.
time. You cancel it. Your whole plan, I was like, that was a risky move in general.
They could just come home.
Yeah. That was the moment Amy showed up, which of course is a sitcom, we knew would happen. I was like, yeah, because when a reservation is canceled, especially if you didn't really want to anyway, you're like, oh, yeah, let's just go home.
Also, I don't think Corey anticipated Saturday night being the sexiest night of the year.
Everyone
Everybody is
fucks.
fucking on this night.
I have that
Turner,
note.
fucking. Amy and Alan, fucking. Feeney, fucking. Shawn, he can't help himself. It's in the air.
Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, Saturday night was hot. Like, everyone. Feeney's getting it, Turner's getting it, Shawn's getting it, Amy's and Alan are getting it. I was just like, every single adult character we meet is getting it in.
Yeah.
This Saturday night. So I don't know what was in the air, but yeah, definitely.
And it's interesting because when they're trying to paint all of this picture of just like everybody's coupling up, typically, and we saw this in last season when they went to the Poetry Lounge, they threw Eric in there. They gave him a girl. But it's interesting to me that the more we focus on Eric and his school and his intelligence and all these things he was trying to accomplish, the less we get of girls. His whole first season was girls. And I don't know that I can remember there, other than a few circumstances in the next few seasons where he has a girlfriend. So it's just really interesting that it became the thing that was his entire existence, and now he doesn't even talk about going on dates, really. I
yeah,
mean,
actually, it's really funny because it would be interesting, and usually, again, season 1 or season 2, if Eric didn't do that paper, it would have been like, oh, I had a date with
Yeah.
Veronica Watson
Sure,
or
sure,
whatever.
sure.
Or it's like, oh, you were expecting me to give up this date or this girl or this chance or whatever. No, Eric just didn't do it.
Yeah,
So,
he had
like,
no excuse. He was like, oh, forgot.
no excuse at all. And yeah, actually, he just forgot. And I do think it's interesting because you're right. Eric would have been included in that. I mean, even Corey's paired off.
I have to say, like, there's so many things that overly complicate this story. Not only, gosh, I really want to move into Turner, but not only does, like, Feeney, the whole paper thing, why couldn't it have been from, like, last week? Like, why does it have to be from the previous school year? Why are we complicating things?
Yeah.
Turner, if you're making up a lie, why are you choosing a wedding as your lie? A wedding involves so many details.
He lies about all those details.
Everything. Oh, I got a suit. Oh, I got a plane ticket.
Hey, I'll return my non-refundable plane ticket. My buddy Chris will just push back his wedding. 300 chicken Kievs will have died in vain. That way, the world can make Shawn Hunter happy.
Oh, come here, man. I want to thank you. You really touched me there.
Are you kidding me? You're staying at the Matthews this weekend. You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
I was like, why
The
not just
number
say,
of guests and the chickens.
I have a friend coming from out of town. We have an evening planned. Like, anything would have
Well,
been better.
Well, I think that the whole purpose of this is to show that Turner messes up. You know, he's like, I should have just been honest with you, which I like him saying. I should have just been
got a
honest.
hotel.
Yeah, but
He's
First
an
of all,
adult.
there's that. And there is something to say about, as an adult now, there is something to say about wanting to bring a date back to your place.
Sure, sure.
You know, not have her feel seedy or whatever. But again, it's just like, A, you're right. This is your apartment. And just be like, I'm going to need you to stay with the Matthews this weekend. I have plans.
Yeah.
Very easy.
Yeah.
Like, it's not hard.
I have a friend coming from out of town. You could have said a number of things. I have tickets to a show. Anything.
Absolutely. Why did you make it where you would be out of town? Because guess what? If anyone comes back into the house at that point in time, you're not out of town.
Yeah.
And I do think that, like, I will say I was expecting a lot when I was watching this episode. I did not expect him to stumble into Turner with a female there.
I saw that coming a mile
I
away.
didn't see it when he said he had a wedding. I thought lots of things would happen, but I did not think that he was lying.
It's the
Because
double
it's
lie,
the
bro.
dumbest lie.
It is. It's so dumb. And he had no reason to do it. Sean didn't even remember Turner was going out of town. That's how little he pays attention to you, Turner. Why are you lying?
Yeah, that's an even better point. You lied. You had time to change the lie.
Yeah, 100 times.
Like, it doesn't.
And the
make sense.
wedding is something that's so far in advance. You have to do obviously it's not like, hey, I have a wedding next week. You know what I mean? So I just wonder what this date meant to Turner, that he felt like he had to do all this. We don't even get a scene really of him and his date alone before Shawn enters
Not
to
really.
see what their dynamic was.
But we do see the date just take the girl. I was gonna say, so strange woman.
Yep.
Just volunteers to take strange child.
Hey, girl, we both want a dick tonight. Let's catch a ride.
But what I'm saying is, Turner signs off on that. No, like no. You know what? Let's call your parents or something. Like, you don't just get into another car with another stranger.
I think Turner understood that he wasn't getting any of that.
No. And I'm not worried about that. What I'm saying is, this woman does not know this child and volunteered to take this child home. How do you explain that?
I'm assuming Corey, Turner, Veronica Watson all live within a block of each other because Veronica's sneaking out of the house left and right to go to these people's houses.
She very much is. Although, again, I will say, as a teenager, we would sneak out and go around about town in the middle of the night because it's in the middle of the night where you do these things. Don't get me wrong, you don't go like from one end of town to the next, but you definitely can. You can get pretty far,
Yeah.
and back at 2 a.m. I'm just saying, I've seen it done.
I know you're right. But
Oh, also another thing I just want to bring up. Are we going to bring up the fact that let's talk about the date at the Matthews?
their Blockbuster night?
Well, no, because Shawn is with Veronica on the Matthews couch.
Yep.
Corey is upstairs, I don't know, touching himself to the sounds of Shawn making out with Veronica.
Clearly not out with Topanga where he should be.
Exactly. And once they come back, everyone's now in the living room. Which
Yep.
I have to admit, it's like, for Shawn, I was thinking of this. Shawn is not, he's not used to his family, like an active family
Purging
being
it,
there.
yeah.
B, as I said, Chet probably definitely would have like left him alone with this girl. So that's hard. Then we've already had the issues of him being with the Matthews and feeling kind of strangled with the rules. Then you have in the fact that like everyone, your neighbor, who happens to be your principal, and then your friend's parents, like
you really feel bad that Shawn has no space of his own.
Exactly, which they bring up later. But I was really thinking to myself that this is a lot for Shawn in general, because not only does he have no space for himself, but he's not used to this many involved people.
Sure,
and everyone's around him right now, and I could feel the screams, let alone that he's on a date and probably really embarrassed. Because then the question goes, why don't you, like, where are your parents? What's going on here? You know?
Well, you know what's interesting too is that I wonder if Shawn really did bring girls back to Chet's, because he was always so ashamed of his trailer.
Well, I just feel like, what I mean is he probably was out. You know what I mean? Like, even if he didn't bring girls back, he definitely was out and about, and there was no accountability. He knew that if he was going to be with the Matthews, they would want to know where he is.
Yeah.
Sure enough, the moment he's out, Alan's like, Shawn, come down here. You know, it's just like, he knows that there will be a check-in at some point in time. But the reason why I bring up that scene is because Veronica goes, is this the weirdest date you've been on? And he goes, no, I was once set up on a blind date with my Uncle Mary.
Yeah. I have Uncle Mary too, and I'm glad we're talking about it because this is our second trans reference in 2 episodes back to back. What is going on?
Well, not only is it a trans reference, which again, it's weird because the joke isn't necessarily that she's trans, it's the fact that he was set up on a date with, but it's like also blind date, Uncle Mary? What's going on? Why are you going on blind dates?
Who's arranging blind dates between the adults and children? Exactly. That's what we need to look into in Philadelphia.
Yeah, absolutely. I want answers because that little bit right there, I mean, maybe your uncle is only a few years older than you. I don't know. But what I do know is that why are you going on blind dates?
Yeah.
You're in high school. No, you shouldn't be set up with anyone you don't know.
Especially an adult.
So that was the one thing that I wanted to bring up. And I was like, again, kind of coloring in Shawn's very weird, complicated family life.
Really, that's all I really had to was about the Uncle Mary thing. Shawn did say something that was really funny at the beginning. He was like, oh, they're getting home at 10, and if I pick her up at 8, that only leaves us that stinking metric system.
Yeah, that was funny. All right. Oh, so let's talk about the lie, which is Turner being there.
Yeah, Pittsburgh, the Big Apple, the City of Angels.
Okay, look, we're getting a little off the subject here.
Yeah, that tuxedo, does it come in tuxedo?
Hey, enough. I'm the adult here. You're the kid, remember?
Well, what's that mean? You can lie and I can't?
Look, I needed a little privacy, okay? I got my own life, you know?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know I was cramping your style by living here.
This is my place. I don't have to defend myself.
Yeah, your place. That says it all.
But again, it's like, you didn't have to say that. The reason you have this kid is because the rest of his family doesn't want him. So you honestly can't say things like, this is my house, you're here all the time.
Yeah.
You can't say that at all.
And it's one of those moments where I felt like I understood why so many of like my girlfriends had crushes on Shawn, because not only is he like this genuinely like just like sweet kid, but he is constantly being abandoned. He really is just like this sad puppy that no one is like, he's being passed around from house to house. And you know, I feel like all the behavior I see from Shawn, I'm able to excuse because I understand that there's something provoking it.
Absolutely.
In a way that I can't excuse with Corey, in a way that I can't excuse with Eric, because they have no excuse.
Absolutely. And that's what I'm saying. Like, looking at this now, you see Shawn for what he is, which is an abandoned child who has no real... He doesn't really have guardians. His guardian is his teacher, his hot young teacher who he knows is impressionable, who he knows is in over his head. Yeah. And like, I feel like even when he comes back later, you realize he did so because he was like, in all honesty, I don't really have anywhere else to go. Sad. And Turner was trying his best.
I mean, we know now that when Shawn stormed out, he was just going right back to Veronica's house.
Which I assumed he did.
In the midst of the whole blow up, he's still thinking Dick first.
Of course, he's a teenager.
Oh my god.
Because that's the thing when I wanted to talk about when Turner goes to the Matthews, because we get something here which I thought was really interesting. We get Alan's wisdom.
Yeah.
But Alan, we already know that like his family, Corey's family is a good family, and they're trying their best. But Alan really does take a moment and realize, all right, Amy's here. He doesn't shoot Turner out. He tries to do that before when Alan comes over and he's like, hey, leave. Like, yeah. I don't, like, oh, you're supposed to be out of town? Don't care. Leave. But the moment he realizes that this has to do with Shawn, and Shawn's missing, and yada, 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 he takes a moment, sits down, and has a conversation with him.
Alan, what the heck was I thinking when I asked Shawn to come live with me? I'm a single guy. I'm not ready to be a parent yet.
Hey, I got 3 kids, and I'm still not ready. Jonathan, I seen you with Shawn. You're great with him.
That wasn't so great an hour ago.
So, you made a mistake. You didn't break him in half. Don't be so hard on yourself. You're only human.
Why do I feel so stupid?
Well, welcome to the Parent Club. Alan Matthews, member since 1978.
I thought that was a really good moment, because it also, he talks about this, like this moment where he lost Eric as a kid, and they explained that Eric was on a ride for 6 hours straight, which is why I'm guessing he is as dunce as he is.
That's what they try to make it out to be.
Yeah.
They're like, because later on when that's the scene where we see him reading the Manhattan Project paper.
Where he was like, this isn't even in New York.
Yeah, just call it the New Mexico Project. Yeah, I remember that. But no, for me, I liked that episode because we give Alan something to do. We're not just showing Alan for no reason. We are actually giving him something to do. And he honestly has a conversation that I was like, we don't really have a lot of adoption storylines, and especially in children's shows. And this is kind of like, hey, you're gonna mess up. He says you're human. Give yourself a break. Which, I mean, as we're older, I think is important, but it is kind of important for kids to watch and see.
That is interesting, because I feel like up until this point, the only time we saw adoption when it was by millionaires for young black men.
Absolutely, yeah.
So it is interesting just to see a different approach to adoption in the adoption process, because I don't necessarily know if he ever legally adopts him. I think he just becomes a legal guardian.
Yeah, I think he's just his guardian, but still, what the fact that Alan's like, look, you can't do stuff like this. Like, sorry, dude. Like, part of being a guardian is you have to own up and just be honest with him and talk to him. Yeah. And then B, you're going to mess up. You're not going to get it right out of the gate, because no one does.
Sure.
And that's something that anyone who is a parent will tell you. Like, that's something that we're kind of constantly hit over the head when it comes to parenting. But to see it done with someone who's not an actual parent, they're a guardian. I think is really interesting.
Well, I really like too that Alan was like, dude, I'm years into this and I'm still
winging it.
Yeah, I'm still winging it. Like, no one knows what they're doing. We're all just faking it until we get it right. So.
And again, that's really good. So I want to give Alan that credit. And then the conversation back at Turner's apartment where so I want to say something. Veronica's hearing all of this.
And that's because I knew that she was behind the couch. So I was really listening to this conversation from her perspective. And I'm like, is this not weird for her? Is she not thinking, what am I doing here? Is she not thinking, I should have just stayed at home? Is she not thinking I should have gone up with someone else? She's just quietly back there and ready to just pounce on Shawn whenever she gets the okay.
So I'm happy that I didn't know she was behind the couch because I hadn't seen this in forever. But I will say that the scene where Shawn and Turner high five and like they just keep holding hands and there's like this weird look. I'm like, what is how are you going to end this episode?
And it got really weird because he was like, it's your move. And so I was like, what?
What? Yeah. I was like, what?
Are you going to kiss? What's happening?
That's what I'm saying. I was just like,
there was tension. There was sexual tension.
When he was like, it's your move, I was like, what did I miss? What is going on here?
Yeah.
How is this show going to end this episode?
It's a weird thing for him to say. Even if he knew that Veronica, like if he figured it out, I wouldn't, if I were him, I would never say, what's your move? Like,
the next thing I would say, like any other TV show would be like, hey, Veronica, done crouching, or like you tired of
Sure, yeah.
like acknowledging her presence. But the idea of like just holding onto his hand, looking him deeply in the eye, being like, that could have gone really wrong.
This is flashbacks from his blind date, I'm sure.
Exactly. But no, I like what he says, which is that, look, we both messed up.
Yeah.
We'll both do better next time.
Yeah.
And he's like, he gives him a break. And when he says, he's like, Shawn says something along the lines of, oh, what are you going to kick me out now?
Yeah.
And Turner's like, look, dude, we made mistakes. That doesn't mean everyone has to run off. And I was like, Shawn doesn't know that.
No, he doesn't.
And I mean, I like that you're there to teach him this, but you also have to think about it. Shawn doesn't know that.
All right. The scene where Corey's like, Corey's and Shawn are in Corey's room, and they're like, oh, I can't go out the back window because your parents are making out. And Corey's like, well, they're in the back, so go out the front door. And Shawn's like, the front door? That's just crazy enough to work. I was just like, dude, this kid knows nothing but living off the grid. Like, he really has no idea how to normally function. Going out the front door is just like a what? That's so crazy.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things. Another, hold on. He says something. He goes, do you ever feel like the walls are closing in?
Yeah.
And you have nowhere to go? And I was like, first of all, this is a great moment. And like, as an adult who has his own place, I can relate to this. So I cannot imagine how great this is to see in a kid's show where you are relating that not only is that normal to feel, but hey, we'll both work on giving each other space.
Do you ever feel like the walls are caving in, you got no place to go? That sounds like an indie rock lyric.
It absolutely does.
Yeah, I love it.
Carole King.
Yeah.
Go for it. Anything else?
You know what? No, I mean, I thought this was an improvement over last week's episode. For
Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah.
Even though we didn't get any Topanga or Brittany Murphy.
Or the Bechdel cast. I mean, other than...
Actually,
No, because she offers to take her home. She doesn't even look at her.
No, she does. She offers to take her home. And, well, no, sorry. Because I remember Turner says something like, this is bad. And Turner says this is bad. Shawn says this is bad. Then Veronica goes, is this bad? And then the date, whose name is Chris, according to IMDb, she's like, trust me, girl, this is bad. Like,
But isn't that still talking about men?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, like, I was like given to the situation, but you're right. I mean, like, also, we get 3 female characters in this entire episode.
And they're all just sex spots.
Yeah.
Like, that's all they're
absolutely.
there for.
Well, also, I will say, I didn't want to get into implications, mostly because I don't, Veronica, do what you want. Good for you, girl. But, like, the idea that, like, Veronica is only there to be, like, she literally comes up to Shawn mid-class and just, like, Saturday night, gonna bone your brains out. You know what I mean? It's just like, make it work in front of Turner, by the way.
Yeah.
She's so horny, she can't contain it in front of her teacher.
It's not even like we see a scene of her like giggling with her friends, like showing that she's excited for like the date, that she maybe likes Shawn. No, it's just like, dude, I'm gonna get laid. Like, and honestly, I know that I keep saying that jokingly, but there is something about this episode specifically that if you're watching this, I'm telling you, please write me if you agree or disagree, but there's a vibe about this episode that leads me to think Shawn wanted to do a little bit more than use his lips for kissing.
See, I'm going to stick with the fact that in the context, in paper, it doesn't seem like Shawn wants to do anything more. But I will say, everyone else in the episode is, so, maybe I'm just being optimistic.
I don't think you take cold showers for lips.
I didn't say you did. I said, but I also remember being a teenager and not having sex, but still being very horny all the time. So I feel like right now, he's just racking up stuff for a spank bank. Which, by the way, I just want to say, I've never thought about it until just now. But Shawn is a teenage boy who lives with a single man.
Yep.
That place smells like jizz all the time.
Oh, 100%. And, like, I don't know if there was, like, an equivalent to Axe body spray in 95, but, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I did look it up. A 15-year-old is typically a sophomore in high school. So, just to let you know, we started in 6th grade. They're presumably in their sophomore year.
And we will stay there for the next 2 years.
This actually does line up with the continuality of the rest of the show because it lines up with when they graduate. So we have just skipped 7th and 8th grade.
Yeah.
9th grade. Yeah, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade.
Yeah. Well.
Yep.
All right.
Everyone except for Will Friedle's character, by the way. Like, he's frozen in time.
It's crazy. Let's not start pulling at the threads.
I know.
What grades they're supposed to be in because.
Well, I think it is important to establish because it is pretty consistent from this point on.
Okay. Any bra moments or Feeney taught me or anything? Like
The only bra moment I had was the Uncle Mary thing. The blind date with an adult. And just how easy it was for Veronica to just slipping out of her house to get there.
For me, it was always like I was thinking stranger danger the entire time.
Yeah.
When she just gets into the car with Turner's friend. Like this isn't like previously where it was this isn't the teacher we met last.
No.
Yeah. So this isn't like a teacher she knows and it's like, okay, I'll ride home with Miss Dixon or something. It's like, no, my teacher's female friend who my friend didn't even know volunteered to take me home.
Who is this girl that Jonathan has apparently such a strong relationship with that he blocked out a weekend for this, but not so much so that Shawn has ever met her before?
Turner, look at Turner.
All right.
They even acknowledge. You're looking good, man.
Look at him.
Yeah. Dropping a couple of LBs. It's just like, it's fantastic. Okay. And then for me, my Feeney taught me, I'm going to give it to Alan. I really think that Alan does a really great job with the lesson, which is that, look, parenting is hard. You're not going to get it right. Be honest when you can.
I think the lesson comes down to Turner and Shawn's conversation of, you know what, we both messed up, we'll both do better. About how, like, owning, like, how, like, you know, adults don't have a different standard for children and vice versa, and how we're all kind of on the equal playing field, and that's how...
Oh, yeah, because I didn't even get into that part where he goes, he says something like...
it's okay for you to lie.
Yeah, it's okay for you to lie. And it's like, yeah, no, dude, again... You can't do that with someone like Shawn.
Or just even like someone as impressionable as Shawn, really.
Yeah.
Because you're really setting a standard in his mind for, okay, when I get to a certain age, I can lie or whatever, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
all right. What grade are you giving this?
I'm going to give this a B. I'm going to give this a B, solid B.
I like it as well. I was like, it's a B episode. It has pretty good plot. All of our characters are having fun. We don't get like any Joey and Frankie moments that like really feel unnecessary and out of place.
Yeah, I felt like we saw just enough of everyone for the story to keep chucking along.
Absolutely. All right. Do you have any homework?
Oh, yeah. You go first. You go first.
So actually, my homework is a little bit different from what I usually do. My homework is I work from home very often. And to like get out of the house, I've been going to the local libraries.
Okay.
Because I was going to Starbucks, but I was like, Starbucks is like a chain. They don't really need my presence. I'm just taking up space. I'm not going to buy anything. Or if I do, it's going to be something I don't need. So I don't remember why, but I was like, oh, why don't I just go to the local library? And so I started going there, and I highly recommend, if you get a chance, just go to your local library. Not only does it like give them costs to stay open, but it's really interesting for me to see what libraries are now. Like a lot of people come there. They have like a lot of educational programs. They have a lot of get your citizenship programs. They have like mommy daycare type situations or like book readings and stuff like that. I'm just like I was been really, really amazed. And also at one library I go to, every day this old man does like a puzzle.
Ooh.
He's just doing like one of those little jigsaw puzzles at the table. And it's like the sweetest thing ever. And every time I see him, I'm like, oh my God, dude, this is like the most innocent thing you could be doing. He's getting out of the house. He's, being productive, and I just think we should support our local libraries.
That's dope, man.
That's my homework.
I've read something that millennials are really like revitalizing libraries in a lot of interesting
ways.
ways.
I mean, like it's weird because they have at least the ones that I go to, they actually have like a media section where you could like rent VHSs or DVDs or stuff. And I'm like,
can you rent VCR?
I was like, yeah. I was like, who's? I mean, I'm sure other people, they have them, so people have to be using them.
Yeah.
But it seems like such a relic. I was like, could you like rent a Netflix password? Like, that would make more sense.
Yeah, and I thought that some libraries had like a way for you to like download free audiobooks, and I thought
they do.
Like
they
a
have
way to rent movies too. Like
they have.
digitally.
I know for a fact that they have free audiobooks, and then also the libraries that I go to have like you could rent a laptop. Like they'll give you a laptop. It comes, it's just as property of the library, and as long as you're there and as long as you need it, it's
That's
like,
cool.
I'm like, this is pretty cool. Like, so if my laptop broke today, I could go to the library and still get shit done.
Oh wow, that's awesome. For my homework, I'm going to recommend another podcast that I'm a fan of called How Did This Get Made?
Oh, yeah!
With Jason Mantzoukas, who you might know from Parks and Rec and League, with Paul Scheer, who's in a bunch of stuff. I tell
you he's my celebrity crush.
Paul Scheer?
No, not...
Jason Mantzoukas?
Yes, it's like, I feel really bad about it. He's like one where like, I feel like I need to shower afterwards, but there's just something about him that is like, I'm kind of interested.
Every show I see him in, he pops up. I just get happy because his characters are always hilarious.
Okay.
But yeah, they watch like intentional worst movies ever. Obviously not something that we do on our movie podcast. We try to find stuff that's a little bit more like, I kind of like it. I don't know how I feel about it. But they watch very, very bad movies, which I'm a fan of actually. And if you listen to their newest episode on Nicolas Cage's Deadfall, you might hear me rapping at the end of it, just saying.
Yes, you did. I saw that and I was like, go team.
So yeah, why don't you check out How Did This Get Made? Because it's a great podcast.
Okay. Anything else? Or are you ready to wrap?
Yeah, let's wrap it up like a present.
Okay, so that is our episode. Thank you for listening to Bro Meets World. Remember, you can find us on all of the places. Leave us a rating. Make sure you give us feedback. We always appreciate it. Make sure you can contact us at Bro Meets World or email us at bromeetsworld@gmail.com. You can find me on Twitter at Extra Siege. That's XTRACEEJ. TC?
You can find me at @braverme, @braver.me on Instagram. And if you guys have any comments, any questions, you have some thoughts on the episode, feel free to reach out to us at all of our social medias. You can also reach out to us at our email. Oh, you already gave the email. All right, never mind. Yeah, guys, just if you got thoughts, let us know how you're feeling about season 3. We're loving it.
Again, don't forget to check out our other podcast. It's movie_makeover. And just remember to dream,
to try,
and do good.
Do some damn good, y'all. We need it.
And do a Saturday night right.
Ooh, guys.
Feeney's dentist.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yo,
you know he's getting his mouth clean. Later, bruh.
Later, bruh.